Hi, I'm Michelle and welcome to Somewhere in Bookland. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of December. I actually had a really good reading month in December. I managed to read 12 books, which pushed my overall total for 2018 to 86 books, which is a lot better than the 74 books it was at the beginning of December. And while this was the first year I didn't read at least 100 books in a while, I'm still very happy with 86 books, as it was well above my Goodreads goal of 50 books. And honestly, I was just having a pretty lousy reading year for the majority of the year, and so I'm pretty proud that I still managed to read 86 books. As you'll soon be able to tell, December was my month of like 4-star reads apparently. Out of the 12 books that I read, 9 of them I rated 4 stars. One was 5 stars and the last 2 were 3 stars, so overall I had a really good reading month. Now, I started my reading month by picking up an audiobook that I had previously started and had not gotten super far into, because while it was beautifully written, it started so slow, which is why I had put it down for a while. But in December, after only listening to it for a little bit longer, I had to put the audiobook down and pick up the physical copy because I needed to get through it faster, so much faster than the audiobook was letting me get through it. What is this book, you ask? Well, this book is none other than Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. You may have already heard about this book, but just in case you haven't, this book is about this guy, Laszlo Strange, who's obsessed with this mythical lost city known only as Weep. He has spent his whole life dedicated to researching it and compiling all of his research together. He just hopes that one day he'll have the chance to find out if it's real. He then meets a guy known as the God Slayer, who presents him with said chant. As we, the readers, follow Laszlo into Weep, we encounter many strange things and find out why Weep is the lost city. I gave this book 5 stars. As I said, this book did start off pretty slow for me, and I wasn't quite sure if I was gonna like it or not. Now, going into this book, I didn't know too much about it other than what I have stated in the synopsis. And honestly, I kind of feel like that's a good thing, because this book has so much going on. It's kind of hard to explain. And I feel like if somebody would have gone into more detail or tried to go into more detail, then I would have just been completely confused, and who knows if I would have picked it up. Now, Laini Taylor's writing is beautiful, and she knows how to craft not only a world, but a theology so well. I mean, I first found that out in the Daughter of Smoke and Bones trilogy, where she crafts the world and a theology in there. And it holds true for this book. I loved Laszlo and the different gods and goddesses that you're introduced to. And honestly, I just love this book. I really need to get on reading Muse of Nightmares, but I haven't found the time to pick it up yet because they're not like the thinnest books in the world. The next book I decided to pick up was a graphic novel that I read through my library. And that was Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun, or as the book says, Jomini Sun. Jomini Sun. I know it's everyone's an alien when you're an alien too, but I always say everyone's an alien when you're an alien too. With like, I pronounce the B's. This graphic novel is about a little alien who is sent to Earth to observe humans, who meets a lot, and he meets a lot of friends along the way who teach him about Earth and life in general. I gave this graphic novel 4 stars. It was a really cute, fast read. I think it would be really great for a pick-me-up if you were just feeling down and wanted something quick to blow through that would just lift your mood. I think this book would be great for that. The drawings are really cute, and it's just a wholesome, happy book, and I don't really have much else to say. The next thing I read was also another graphic novel that I read through my library, and that was Giant Days Volume 1 by John Allison. This graphic novel follows 3 friends, Susan, Esther, and Daisy, and they're at university. These girls have only known each other for about a month, but they've become fast friends. I gave this graphic novel 4 stars. I mean, it was really fun, the illustrations were nice, and also I love Esther, who dresses in all black and is like goth and super awesome. I don't really have much to say about this other than that. The next 2 books I read go together, and that is Furthermore and Witchwood by Tahara Mafi. Furthermore follows this girl, Alice, who is colorless and living in a land of color. And she has to travel with this guy, Oliver, whose magic comes from lies and deceit. and they have to go to this crazy, magical, dangerous land called Furthermore, where her father had disappeared to years ago. Now, I gave this book 4 stars. I was really wary going into this book. I wasn't the biggest fan of Shatter Me, which is by the same author, Tahara Mafi, but I am so happy that I was wrong and I ended up really enjoying this book. The world of Furthermore is so trippy, but you can like picture it so well. There's a whole bunch of different places in that world, and I just loved like the world that she built up there. I mean, if I were to go to Furthermore, I would definitely get lost. There's this one world that's like all in 2D there, or I don't know if they're cities or what exactly you would call them, or towns, villages, whatever in Furthermore, but they're all in 2D and it was so trippy and kind of cool. Also, I really loved Alice, who's completely unafraid to be herself. Oliver, however, is a jerk. That's what I thought of Oliver. Once I finished Furthermore, I knew I immediately had to pick up Witchwood from my library so I could read it. In all honesty, I had wanted to read Witchwood first, which is why I had read Furthermore to begin with, so I could get to Witchwood. Witchwood follows this girl, Laylee, who lives in the village of Witchwood, and it's her job to wash the dead and help the souls move on into the afterlife. And honestly, that is why I wanted to read this book. For that alone, because it just sounded morbid and delicious and amazing. I gave this book 4 stars as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to ruin anything from Furthermore, which is the possibility. I just don't want to risk it. But I really did enjoy this book. Like I said, I wanted to read this book for the morbid, like, washing of the dead aspect that it had. And honestly, I just wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed Laylee's character. And although she could be a bit of a jerk sometimes, it's completely understandable. Because she is so young and she has so much pressure put on her by the village. And her dad is a jerk. And the village people are jerks, the townspeople. They all suck. And Laylee, they should be respecting her and looking up to her. The next book I read was the newest book by my favorite new adult author, R.S. Gray, and that is Hotshot Doc. This book follows Bailey, a surgical assistant, and Dr. Russell, the surgeon that she is newly assigned to. She's assigned to him because the surgeon she's been working for has retired. Bailey is good at the job she does, both her surgical assistant job and raising her younger sister, which she also does. Dr. Russell is also very good at the job he does, but while Bailey keeps a happy attitude, Dr. Russell is very surly and not a happy attitude at all. In fact, before Bailey, he goes through surgical assistance super quick and makes him break down and cry. I gave this book 4 stars. I love R.S. Gray's rom-coms, and so I knew going into this book that I was gonna love it too. This book was very much an enemies to lovers romance, and R.S. Gray really knows how to handle those well, since a lot of the books that she writes actually tends to end up following that pattern. Dr. Russell, otherwise known as Matt, is so serious about his work because he cares so much about the kids that he operates on, and he doesn't like anything to stand in the way between him providing the kids what they need. Now, Bailey is a no-nonsense person who knows just how to break through Matt's wall. And this book was just really good. I will always read R.S. Gray's books, and I will most likely always rate them well. Knock on wood. The next book I read was another new adult book, and that is Roomies by Christina Lauren. I have the physical copy of this book, but I have it like so tightly put into the bookshelf that if I were to take it out, I would have to take a couple other books out as well, and I'm just not going to do that. This book follows this girl, Holland, who's obsessed with this street busker who she thinks plays the most beautiful music. She even goes out of her way to see him playing the music in the subway. Then one day while visiting him, she's attacked by some random drunk guy and he saves her life. She finds out his name is Calvin and she decides that she has to repay him. So in order to do so, she sets him up with an audition with her famous Broadway director uncle. And he gets the part. But little does she know, his visa has expired and he can't actually take the part. So she agrees to marry him and pretend they have a relationship so he can take the job, and I think we get the gist of where this goes from there. I gave this book 3 stars. I wasn't the biggest fan of this book and that was kind of disappointing. I really felt the relationship between Bailey and Calvin was very stiff, and while that's understandable considering they were complete strangers to start off with, I really didn't feel the connection getting better as the book went on. But maybe that was just me. Also, they really got away with no consequences on this highly illegal fake marriage that everybody knew was fake That's just not believable to me. The next book I read was a middle grade book, and that is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I'd been hearing a lot about this book and how people were comparing it to like reading Harry Potter for the first time, and so I was like, okay, I have to pick this book up. This book follows Morgan Crow, a girl who's doomed to die on her 11th birthday, which the people of her town are actually happy about because she was born on Eventide, and anybody who's born on Eventide is unlucky. And so her town blames all the misfortunes that happen there on her. But before she could die, in steps Jupiter North, who whisks her away to a magical city called Nevermore. And there he enters her into a competition to get into the Wondrous Society. In order to get in, she must complete 4 trials against hundreds of other children, also vying for the spot at the academy. I gave this book 4 stars. It was beautifully written and I fell in love with Nevermore. It was a little slow at times, but overall I loved the book. I loved the competition aspect. Honestly, I love books like that where everybody's competing for something. And the fact that they were competing to basically get in a magical school was like amazing. There were a couple of things in this book that were a little bit predictable, but honestly, who cares? It didn't ruin the story in the slightest for me. I also love that in Nevermore, Morgan, I don't know if it's Morgana, but Morgan finds a family that she didn't have in her hometown. And honestly, quite honestly, her hometown didn't deserve her anyway. After that, I decided to take another graphic novel break, and for that I read the 3rd volume of Archie by Mark Waid. This graphic novel is about Archie and his friends in Riverdale. There's not much else I have to say. That's basically it. I gave this graphic novel 3 stars. It is what it is. It's Archie. I grew up on Archie. The graphics of this are just fine. I mean, I guess they're better than the ones I grew up on. Cleaner lines, more contemporary looking. The stories are fine. Nothing amazing. Everything's just fine about it. Honestly, just fine. Will I continue reading these graphic novels even though I continually rate them 3 stars? Yeah, probably. Will I continue thinking that they're basically pretty much lackluster reads? Yeah, probably to that too. But it's Archie. And Archie, I grew up on Archie. So I'm gonna continue reading Archie. I haven't even started the TV show though. I don't know. After that, I picked up 2 more books that go together, and that was Scarlet and Cress by Marissa Meyer, both of which I checked out from my library. Now, I had read Cinder when that first came out a long time ago, and I didn't remember liking it. And while I didn't remember everything about it, I remembered basically the gist of things about it, and then I kind of looked up a summary and just read through the summary, and for the rest I just remembered as I went, or like picked up as I went along in the series. I did not want to reread Cinder. I wanted to move on in the books because I heard that they were better. They got better, and also I really want to read the Wires and Nerves graphic novel because I just think it looks so cool, but I needed to read the Lunar Chronicles first. But like I said, I didn't remember liking Cinder and I didn't want to reread it. So I just kind of went into Scarlet. Plus, all the books I've recently read by Marissa Meyer were amazing, so I wanted to give the Lunar Chronicles another shot because I loved Heartless and I loved Renegades. I still have to read Arch Enemies, but I was like, you know, I have to give the Lunar Chronicles another shot. As Scarlet and Cress are the 2nd and 3rd books in this series, I don't want to go too much into it, but I will tell you that the series as whole is basically a sci-fi retelling of different fairy tales. Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter type thing, you know? I gave both Scarlet and Cress 4 stars. These books weren't at all what I was expecting from what I remembered of Cinder. They offered so much more of the sci-fi aspect than I remembered, and I loved that. I loved all the main characters in these books, and you just grow really attached to them. Also, I started Winter in December, but I didn't quite finish it, so that's gonna be in my January wrap-up. I only made it about halfway. And finally, the last book I read in the month of December was The Afterlife of Holly by Cynthia Hand. This book is a retelling of sorts about A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This book in particular follows this girl, Holly, who is visited by 3 ghosts, the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, and they warn her that if she doesn't change her act, then she's going to regret it. She wakes up and does not change. So she dies. She is now working for the same company, known as Project Scrooge, that had tried to warn her and save her. She is now their ghost of Christmas past. And every year the company picks a new Scrooge and they spend all year researching so that on Christmas Eve they can try and save them and scare them straight. And Holly is as unhappy in death as she was in life. And this book just follows her. Now, I gave this book 4 stars. I never would have thought that a retelling based on A Christmas Carol would do such a good job at transforming itself into becoming something completely separate from the original text. I love the premise of this book, and I will admit I found it a little predictable at times. I mean, I kind of guessed the ending, but overall, that really didn't limit my enjoyment of this book at all. Holly is such an likable character. Like, you want her to succeed, but also she grates on your nerves so bad. It's great. This book puts you in such a Christmas mood, and while I recommend reading it at any time of the year, if you're the type of person that loves reading stuff at specific times of the year, I would definitely suggest putting this book on your TBR for this coming Christmas in a year from now. So those are the 12 books / graphic novels that I managed to read in the month of December. So click the thumbs up button if you like this video, click subscribe if you want to see more of this face in your feed, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.